Thank you, Lauren. Um, Before we begin, I would just like to provide an overview of the agenda for today. As I noted, we will be going over the handbook and program guidelines. We'll also be going over reviewing the application timeline, some items for your information that is in the handbook, eligible activities, evaluation criteria, some federal and designated recipient requirements, and then the application submittal, and then we will review the application. Just to let you know, this is a long meeting. We will have a break before we get into the reviewing of the application. So thank you. Next slide. So before we begin, I would like to do a polling questions. So for those here today, have you applied for Section 5310 funding before? So answer yes or no. And if yes, what was the last year that you received funding? So we'll give you a couple of seconds. And I appreciate everybody who is answering the polling question. We just want to get an idea of who we have in the audience today.
We still have some people answering, so I just wanted to give it a little bit more time.
Thank you.
Did you want me to share the results, Dee Dee?
Yes, please. Okay. Well, it's a good mix. 77% of you have applied today. And we have a few new people. I can't see the year, but thank you for those for answering. But I just wanted to get an idea of who we have and how many new people we have today. Okay, thank you. Next slide.
And Dee Dee, I will have the answers in the end of meeting report, and I will get those to you.
Okay, thank you. So we are here today to review the handbook for the Section 5310 grant process for the Phoenix Mesa urban area and the Phoenix West Goodyear Avondale urban area. If you have not already gone to the website or clicked on the link or reviewed the handbook, we do have the link available on our presentation. And just to let you know that we will have the presentation loaded on our website for you to go back and review. And to be able to access all of the links on our presentation today. Next slide. Now for this application process, as I noted, this is for the Phoenix Mesa urban area and the Phoenix West Goodyear Avondale area. This is the map that is in the handbook, and this is where your service area would be. 51% of your services to apply in this region for this application process would be either in the blue area or the dark sandy area. All other areas, including the state of Arizona, would apply to the Arizona Department of Transportation. They are doing the call out for 5310 applications this year. More information can be found on the MAG website. If you scroll to the bottom, we do have a contact link for the Arizona Department of Transportation or ADOT 5310 contact person. But if your services, 51 of the services that you provide are in the blue and the dark sand area, this is the application process that you will be submitting for. Thank you. Next slide. So on my presentation today, I will have in parentheses the page number where you can reference back to the handbook. But I'm going to highlight a couple of key items in the handbook. I will not be reviewing the whole handbook, but I will be reviewing a couple of key areas in the handbook for you today. Applications were published on January the 17th, which was last Friday, I believe, or a week ago. And today we're having the regional grant workshop. This is scheduled to go to noon. This is a lot of information, we understand. Hopefully we will be out by noon. MAG staff and the City of Phoenix, which means Lauren and I and Stephanie or Eleanor will be providing technical assistance. And this is one-on-one technical assistance for any questions that you have related to your application. If you are a first-time applicant, technical assistance is required. So we will have that on February 4th and 5th from 9 to 3:30, 9 to 3 by appointment only. You can email Lauren Marshall, emails provided to schedule a 30-minute appointment. It's not a requirement for everybody, but it is a requirement for new applicants. The application deadline is February the 24th at noon. You will submit your applications electronically to myself, Didi Castilla, and copy Lauren Marshall. In the subject line of your email, please put your agency name, the year, whether you're applying in the Phoenix Mesa Scottsdale area or the Phoenix Goodyear Avondale area. Please note that we are requiring that you submit the original Excel spreadsheet. And this is due to Phoenix and MAG. We do pull different information out of your application. It just makes it easier for us extract that information. So please submit your original Excel spreadsheet. It's also important to know, and unfortunately, this has occurred in the past, we will not accept any late or incomplete applications. Unfortunately, like I noted, in the past couple of years, we have had run into this. So please note, no late or incomplete applications. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Lauren. We do a public notice of the application submitted, and that will be February the 25th. This allows for 1 week for public comment regarding anybody who submits an application. So we want to make you aware that we will do a public notice of all the agencies who have applied under this for this application. Next slide. Next, the City of Phoenix and MAG staff will do an internal review of all the applications submitted. Now, what staff is looking for is to see if your application meets the federal eligibility and regional criteria threshold requirements. At this time, we may reach out to you for any clarifying questions. We will, give you time to reply back, and we may be in contact with you regarding your application. So this is a 2-week period that City of Phoenix and MAG staff will be reviewing your application prior to it going to the evaluation panel, which is the MAG Elderly and Persons with Disability Transportation EPDT Committee. The EPDT Committee will meet on March the 12th after our 2-week internal review. And at that time, staff will forward all eligible applications to the committee. That means they meet the federal eligibility and regional criteria threshold. So we will submit those eligible applications to the EPDT committee for review. Now, at this time, the panel will have an opportunity to ask questions regarding your application, just for clarification. And those questions are only focused on the application itself. So the applicants will receive the committee's follow-up questions by April the 8th. We do give you a couple of days to respond to those questions by April the 11th. And again, this is solely only questions that it was submitted on your application. So please, we would recommend that those that are doing the application also be in contact and work with those staff members that will be able to apply to answer the questions on the application itself. We know some of you do have grant writers. We highly recommend that the grant writers work with the staff that will be submitting the application. And then we know some of you are the grant writer and the staff. So we just wanted to give you a heads up on those timelines. It is a requirement that all eligible applications, all applicants will do an interview with the EPTD committee. This will be virtual through Zoom, and that will take place on April the 22nd and the 23rd. Normally, we like to have all traditional capital mobility management requests on the first day, and then any other traditional and operating requests on the second day. We have seen an increase in applicants applying, so we try to be as accommodating as possible, but we do. We will recommend that all traditional capital be on the first day. MAC staff will contact the applicant to schedule an interview time. Interviews are 15 minutes. Well, you'll do a very brief description of your project and then talk about the need for your request. And then additional time will be for the panel to ask any questions. We will definitely provide you some guidance once you schedule that appointment. But again, we just want to make sure that you know what to expect regarding this application process. And then normally, applicants will receive a selection notification in June or July. And this is only notification that we are recommending your project once we do the scoring and we do have enough apportionments for awarding. This is not your contract. This is notification that we are recommending that your award request moves forward. Stephanie, I see that you're here. Did you have any other comments regarding that?
Sorry, I got no, no, I do not.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we just reviewed the timeline very briefly of how things work out. Again, you will be applying. The deadline isn't at the end of February. This is really, if you're requesting a vehicle, pretty much an 18-month process. From start to beginning, once we develop the priority listing of projects that we would recommend for awarding, it does go through the MAG committee process for recommendation of approval, and the final approval comes from the MAG Regional Council. So it does take some time for this process. Next slide. So in your handbook on page 6 and 7, we do have some program overviews. This is just a summary of it. This is not the complete program overviews, but we just wanted to highlight some items. Program overviews provides information regarding the Regional 5310 program. Program goals is to improve mobility. FTA provides financial assistance for transportation services that are planned, designed, and carried out to meet the special transportation needs of older adults and individuals with disability. The objectives of the program is to reflect the purpose of the Section 5310 program and the strategies outlined in the Regional MAG Human Services Coordination Transportation Plan and the City of Phoenix Program Management Plan. Next slide. We do have a section called For Your Information, and these are just some things to take into consideration when you submit your application. So for your information, please be aware there is a drug-free workplace program. All recipients are required to have or implement a drug-free workplace program. Warranty tracking is required of all subrecipients, and that is if you do request a vehicle. Also, the unique identity identifier has changed from DUNS to the unique identity ID generated by SAMS.gov. Additional information is in the handbook if you have any questions. And FTA expects timely expenditure of funds. During our 2-week internal review, it will include past grant funding expenditures by the City of Phoenix Public Transit Department, the designated recipients. They will review if you are a prior subrecipient. They will review past expenditures. Agencies with excessive amount of unspent funding will not be recommended to move forward for evaluation. This has been a recommendation from FTA. And Phoenix, after the 2-week internal review, will provide the outcome of the expenditure review to the MAG EPD committee for their consideration. Next slide. Continuing items. Agencies returning awarded vehicle back into the program will have a 2-year waiting period to apply for vehicles. Unfortunately, this has happened in the past due to certain circumstances, but if you are an agency that has returned vehicles back into the program, you will have a 2-year waiting period to apply for additional vehicles. Applicants must score 70% or above during the evaluation process. Again, this is a very highly competitive application process. A score of 70 ensures that you are aware and you know the understanding and the requirements of the program. You are able to submit all of the compliance information. You understand the program and the requirements. Title IV demographic information is included in FTA request data collection on Title VI, population served by applicants applying for Section 5310. The Title VI demographic information is included in the 2025 Section 5310 application. And also a part of that that we are requesting is a mapping of your service area. That will doing that mapping, you are able to pull up the demographic information, and later on we will have Jason Howard to go over the mapping portal for you on how you can do your service mapping. Also, the EPD committee will take in consideration the Title VI population served by the applicant during the evaluation process. And like I noted, service area maps overlaid with the Title VI demographic population are provided during the evaluation to the committee. Next slide. Subrecipients must provide notice when vehicles are taken out of service for longer than 72 hours and document required information on the vehicle maintenance logs. Subrecipients must provide notice when vehicles are returned to service and document required information on the vehicle maintenance logs. Vehicles out of service longer than 30 days are required to have a safety inspection documented on the vehicle inspection form prior to returning the vehicles to service. And I wanted just to highlight this portion because a majority of you here today most likely will be requesting vehicles, and some of you have prior vehicles been awarded. So I just want to highlight this. All applicants for applying for 5310 funding in the Phoenix, Mesa, Scottsdale, and Phoenix, West, Goodyear, Avondale are required to attend the applicant interviews. Additional information is on page 21. And I just noted that during the timeline that if you are a first-time applicant, you are required to do a one-on-one applicant. All applicants have to do the interview, but first-time applicants will do the one-on-one, which is next week, February 4th and 5th. Next slide. Program measures. That's noted on page 10 and 11. Sub-recipients are required to gather and submit reports to the Phoenix City of Phoenix Public Transit Department on both qualitative and quantitative information on each of the following indicators. Traditional gaps in services measure the numbers of seniors and people with disability afforded mobility. Ridership by actual or estimated numbers of rides as measured by one-way trips provided. Other capital and operating increases or enhancements that impact services, addition or changes to infrastructure that impact availability of services, and by actual or estimated number of rides as measured by one-way trips provided. As most of you know that have grants or foundation, program measures and reporting is just part of that. So we just wanted to make you aware that there is reporting attached to this federal awards program. Next slide. Update to safety measures plan is on page 11. And these have not changed from the previous year. We haven't had any updates or any revisions to the grant program. So most of these have not changed. On July 18th, 2018, July 19th, 2018, FTA published the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan Final Rule. It requires certain operators of public transportation system that receive federal funds to develop a safety plan that includes the process and procedures to implement safety management systems. And effective July 19th, 2019, FTA is deferring applicability of this requirement for operators that only receive funds through FTA Section 5310 and our Rural Area Formula Program 5311. FTA Section 5310 Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Persons with Disabilities program continues to follow all programming guidelines under the previous FAST Act circular. And as I noted, there has not been any major revisions or changes to the grant program, and we do continue to follow all federal guidelines. If you have any questions regarding the safety agency plan, I would highly recommend to reach out to the City of Phoenix group staff. Thank you. Next slide. Now getting to eligibility for traditional capital projects. Section 5310 is a traditional 5310 traditional capital projects, meaning the purpose of 5310 was for those capital assets such as vehicles, preventive maintenance, software, hardware, and those type of equipment. The other portion of this is the other capital and operating, and that was integrated from a previous act, Section 5317, into this program. But 5310 is traditionally a capital awards program. So eligible applicants are private nonprofit organizations, government authorities where no private nonprofit is available, or is designated by the state to coordinate services for older adults and individuals with disabilities. So the traditional capital is primarily for private nonprofit organizations unless you meet the criteria if you're a government agency where no private nonprofit is available, or you are designated by the state to coordinate services. Eligible projects are vehicles and preventive maintenance, radios and communication equipment. And I was like radios, but this is directly from the circular. So they do state radios and communication equipment. Equipment, securement devices for Section 5310 funded vehicles only, computer hardware and software, and support for mobility management, sub-regional mobility management positions, and mobility management projects. Okay. Next slide. So for the other capital and operating eligible activities, which is located on page 16, eligible organizations are private nonprofit organizations and state and local government authorities. Eligible projects are public transportation projects, capital only, that are planned, designed, and carried out to meet the special needs of seniors and individuals with disabilities when public transportation is insufficient, inappropriate, or unavailable. Other projects are capital and operating that exceed the requirements of American with the Disability Act, ADA. Projects, capital and operating that improves accessibility to fixed route service. And alternatives to public transportation projects that are capital and operating that assist senior and individuals with disabilities with transportation. Again, you'll find more information on page 16. Stephanie, did you have a comment?
I do. I need to get off of this. We're having some major issues with federal funding. Eleanor is on, but she's on as me. So Eleanor, can you please take over for me? I need to get off. I'm sorry. But if anyone has any questions or anything, you can always send them to the section 5310 at phoenix.gov and we will get back to you. I'm so sorry. So I have to leave. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. I think
Okay.
that takes precedence over.
And if Eleanor can't help you, just like I said, she'll write it down and we'll get back with you with an email. Again, I'm so sorry for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next slide, please. Section 5310 funding, which is located on page 8 in your handbook. FTA provides Section 5310 federal funding apportionments directly to urban areas. It is estimated in the handbook that the Phoenix Mesa urban area would receive approximately about 5.3 million. And then for the Phoenix Mesa, the Phoenix West Goodyear Avondale area, estimated at 445,000. This has been recently updated. We did receive partial apportionments. We do expect these numbers to go up. We do not have confirmation on the final apportionments for our urban areas in the MAG region. We will update you as soon as we have that information. But again, we did receive partial apportionments, but we have not had confirmation on the full apportionments. So we do expect these numbers to go up. How much we're unsure at this time. And it's important to note that the whole apportionment that we get for the two urban areas, not less than 55% of the funding goes to traditional capital request. And the match will differ. The federal share is 80% for traditional capitals. Again, that's 55% of the total apportionments for the two urban areas go to traditional capital. That is a federal requirement. That is not the ceiling, that is just the minimum. We can go higher, and in the MAG region, we do go to 60% to ensure that we meet the federal requirement of 55%. 40% to other capital, less than 10% administration. So that would be about 30 to capital, less than 10% administration. The federal share is 50% for other capital and operating projects. Now, the federal share is 90% for accessible equipment projects. And if you need any help in determining what your match is, please reach out to MAC staff or the City of Phoenix staff. Next slide. And all that information is on page 18. Now, I wanted to take a moment to go over the scoring rubric. This is on page 22. The evaluation criteria, this is what the committee uses when they evaluate and score your application. We have this information for you. I would highly recommend you take a minute, it's located on page 22, to review these sections. And these are in sections that correspond to areas in the application. Section 1, 2, and 9, they're the cover letter, and to ensure that you're submitting all your supplemental and application is complete, and that we will be reviewing that. Section 3 is your agency experience and capability. I do want to note that those areas, I have some highlighted areas, and those are points that MAG or the City of Phoenix provide to the committee in regards to their scoring, because we oversee a lot of these portions. So MAG or the City of Phoenix will provide these points, such as MAG staff reviews your applications and how it's submitted. And we will review if you have all the submittals, if you have the cover letter, their service area maps. We do that all. The City of Phoenix in Section 3, agency experience in managing federal funds and meeting requirements. City of Phoenix, who oversees that, has our designated recipient, will provide those points to the committee. They will also provide points that the applicant demonstrates and utilization of requested and or past funding, if applicable. Agency expends awards in a timely manner. So all of these areas, either MAG staff or the City of Phoenix staff, we oversee that and we provide that information to the committee. Section 5, 6, or 7, the City of Phoenix will provide points on the applicant appropriately addresses the availability or reliability of required matching funds for the proposed project. And in Section 8, coordination, MAC staff does do, we are required to collect an agency's participation in coordination events or activities. So MAC staff will supply those points to the committee. So the coordination participation attends local and or regional coordination meetings, forums, submits all required data information, including surveys, and provides updates. So MAG staff oversees that activity, and we will provide those points to the committee. Again, I do highly recommend that you take some time on page 22 and review these evaluation criteria. Next slide. Now, on page 23, we definitely want to make sure we know your nonprofit agencies, and this may be the only federal awards grant program that you are applying to or you participate in. So we want to make you aware of some of the agreements that you would need to know and understand. Applicants will be required to enter a grant pass-through agreement with the City of Phoenix, who is our designated recipient. All applicants must be prepared to meet applicable federal, state, and local requirements. The subrecipient's authorized representative must sign the certification and assurances form provided in the application indicating the agency's agreement to comply with all applicable federal requirements. Registering with the System for Award Management, or SAM, is required upon receiving federal funds. To register, visit the following website. And again, we will post this presentation which includes all the links. It is highly recommended agencies select to authorize your entity's non-sensitive information to be displayed in SAM public search results. If you are a prior applicant, this may be more, you'll understand what this means. In the past, we have had agencies say they have entered and registered in the SAM system, but the City of Phoenix was unable to confirm that. And that is because it was marked private. So there is a selection on the SAM's public search where you can enter, say, non-sensitive information can be public. That way the City of Phoenix can go in and confirm that you are registered under SAM. It is highly recommended. And if you have any questions regarding that, please reach out to the City of Phoenix. They can help and walk you through that. Okay. Next slide. Federal requirements on pages 23 and 24. The Office of Management and Budget, OMB, agencies receiving $750,000 or more in federal funds annually are required to conduct an annual single audit by a certified public accountant. Must provide a copy of their audit to the City of Phoenix and encompasses both financial and compliance components. And additional information can be found. It is located in the handbook. We did provide a link so you can go directly to that. And this will mostly be for those agencies that have applied in the past or are applying, mostly operating. So, and those agencies are requesting de minimis. So that information is in this, but we just want to make you aware of that. Lobbying activities. This has been a question that has come up in the past. Agencies who apply for an award of $100,000 or more must file a written certification. No federal funds have been paid for lobbying and disclosure of lobbying activities required by 49C. That's the circular part 20. We just want to reference where it is located in the FTA circular. New restrictions on lobbying. RAS applicants must submit the certification on lobbying form along with the application. Yeah. So next slide. Local matching funds. I did mention this previously, but it's located on page 26. Subrecipients are required to provide matching funds for Section 5310 funds. All local match funds for capital equipment must be in cash. Again, I would like to reiterate, all local match funds for capital equipment must be in match. We did have some questions regarding this previously. A local match for operating and mobility management projects can be non-cash, such as donations, volunteer services, or in-kind contributions, is eligible as long as the value of each is documented and supported and is included in the net project cost. So we will review that in the application. There is a section where you can provide this information, but local match for operating and mobility management projects can be non-cash, such as donations, volunteer service, or in-kind contributions, as long as the value of each is documented and supported. Okay. Applicants must indicate a commitment to providing the local match funding in the cover letter, and I will review the cover letter later on. Subrecipients will be required to provide the full local match for vehicles and or vehicle equipment in advance of the City of Phoenix creating purchase orders. Okay. Next slide. Procurement. This is located on page 27 and 28. Must comply with all federal requirements associated with procurements of all items purchased with federal funds. It is highly recommended to contact the City of Phoenix for technical assistance prior to conducting procurements utilizing any federal funds. Now, it's important to note the City of Phoenix leads or approves the procurement for all vehicles purchased on the behalf of the subrecipients. Again, the City of Phoenix will do the procurement on behalf of the subrecipients of the vehicles that are available for this application program. Micro purchases of $10,000 or less do not require vendor documentation, but I would highly request that you do keep a documentation of where you determine those purchases or your estimated costs for those. Small purchases, $10,001 to $250,000 require 3 vendor quotes. Okay, and those are vendor quotes. Purchases for $250,001 or greater require a City of Phoenix approved procurement prior to purchase. Now, regarding the vehicles, as I noted, the City of Phoenix will procure all vehicles on behalf of the subrecipients. And the vehicles must be maintained and used for the intended purpose under which they were purchased. And that is providing your consumer to the services. That has been one of the questions. It is not intended to bring the services to your consumer. It's intended to bring your consumer to the services they need. The City of Phoenix holds a first lien through the useful life of the capital equipment until the remaining asset value is less than $5,000, which is usually demonstrated at the time of the vehicle disposition. Again, we can provide further guidance and assistance on that if you reach out to the City of Phoenix. Now, I know we're getting a lot of questions here, so I just want to review some of the questions at this time. It's good to see a lot of you here, and it's really great to see a lot of our sub-regional mobility managers. They did have a one-on-one, they had a question and answer workshop. They're always available to answer any questions, has up here subrecipient and applicant for you. But I just wanted to okay, I have 2 separate emails if we are applying in both locations. Okay. Yes, every request is a separate, every project is a separate request. So if you are applying in the Phoenix Mesa Scottsdale area, that is a separate application. And if you're applying in the Phoenix West Goodyear Avondale area, that is a separate application. It doesn't have to be separate emails. It's the same contact information, but there are 2 separate requests. Is there any impact that the federal pause on grant reviews will have on the 5310 process? What is really great about our process in the MAG region is we develop the priority listing of projects that we would recommend for awarding. So even though there is a pause, and in the past we've received apportionments as early as December and as late as April, it's a priority listing that we are recommending to move forward. And then FTA, when they approve and confirm the apportionments, they will use our priority listing to draw down and expand all of our apportionments based on the priority listing that we have. So whether we get confirmation of full apportionments soon or we receive it later, the process will still continue because it's our priority listing that we are forwarding to the City of Phoenix, who will submit to FDA to draw down and expand the apportionments once it is confirmed. And I like to say that it's almost like FTA has written us a check, but it is not finally approved until they sign it, and that is in October when they draw out the contracts. Okay, it's the same process for an agency looking to get a replacement van. It is the same process, whether you're looking for a replacement or an expansion. If you're looking for at a new van or requesting a new van, it is termed expansion. You're expanding your services, or you're meeting the needs of your consumers. And you can only replace a van that is, I believe, a 5310 access vehicles. And definitely, there is a question that says, are we able to find out our score from last year's application? Yes, if you want to forward a request to myself or Lauren, we can get with you and we can review your scores from last year's if you applied. A question was when we talked about micro purchases, and this is why I wanted to get to some of the comments. Would a computer apply as a micro purchase? We are talking about your total purchase request. I'm not sure how much a computer costs or what type of computer you're looking at, but okay. I think, but if a total purchase is under 10,000, that's total for the total purchase. You do not require a vendor documentation, but it is highly recommended that you have documentation or support materials of where you got those estimated costs. City of Phoenix will want to know how you came up with that number. Yes, there is a question. Is the original Excel application online? Actually, our application is only in an Excel's form. A lot of times when people submit their application, they like to PDF it. And that is fine. It's easy, to look for our evaluation panel. But for our City of Phoenix and MAG purposes, we require the original Excel application. It is online. So we can extract information from that we need for reporting. Okay. At this point, I think I reviewed all of the questions for now. Thank you. Next slide. Now, vehicle procurement. So on page 28, and unfortunately, I was a little hesitant on these prices. Estimated vehicle listing based on state of Arizona pricing, actual pricing may differ. Remember that the City of Phoenix will procure these vehicles on your behalf. And since these are accessible vehicles, such as a cutaway with lift, raised roof van with lift, and a minivan with ramp, a lot of these vehicles will have to be modified to include the lifts on the vehicle. Unfortunately, the prices of the vehicles are just continuing to increase. And we see this for the next couple of years that we will see such a high increase. So the cutaway with lift, we are estimating the cost at $149,000. The raised roof with lift at $128,000, and the mini $128,000, and the minivan with ramp is estimated cost is at $88,000. Every attempt is made to procure and deliver vehicles within one calendar year of the submittal of the City of Phoenix grant application to the FTA. Longer periods are not uncommon, and if you applied in the past, you will know that it is taking a little longer for the City of Phoenix to procure those vehicles. It is highly subjective to invitation for bid and delivery services, which is beyond the control of MAG and the City of Phoenix staff. delivery schedule, staffing, and industry manufacturing cycles and inventory. I just wanted to highlight that though these vehicles are part of the grant awards program for Section 5310, it's also noted that these are the same type of vehicles that our first responders are utilizing too. The fire department, the police department. So we procure the vehicles and we are in competition with whatever agency is also procuring those vehicles. So I just would like to suggest that you grant some patience and grace to those who are procuring it, the vehicles. Okay. Next slide. Eligible expenses and reimbursements on page 28. Qualifying expenditures are reimbursed to the subrecipient by the FTA through the City of Phoenix when submitted with appropriate accompanying documentation. FTA expects projects to be completed on a timely basis as scheduled in the award agreement and updated in progress reports. Now, this is where the reporting comes from. Your progress report and your milestone progress reports go to the City of Phoenix, and they also forward that to FTA to ensure that your projects are moving on a timely basis and that you're submitting your reimbursements on time. Documentation shall include, but is not limited to, copies of paid invoices received from vendors for purchases of supplies and services and payment dates. Verification of all staff or contractor hours billed, copies of all applicable time cards, payroll records, or other time reporting documentation, and other documentation as required by Phoenix or FTA. Again, if you want a full explanation of what is required, I would highly recommend reaching out to the City of Phoenix. And most of this will be for those submitting for equipment or operating, those type of requests. And again, additional information is on page 28, but I would highly recommend reaching out to the City of Phoenix for more guidance. Next slide. Project costs. Project costs must specifically relate to the purpose of the program, and your program must relate to the transportation side. Direct costs only eligible for expenses that directly support the transportation or mobility management program. Indirect costs only eligible on operating request. For federally negotiated indirect cost rate, and this is mostly for those operating, you must indicate the approved indirect cost rate in the application, provide a copy of the approved plan on file with the subrecipient's cognizant federal agency with your application. Again, this is mostly related to operating, and we will provide more guidance, and there is information in the application on this. De minimis. Indirect cost rate is 10%. You must sign a certification that subrecipient is eligible to utilize this rate with their application. And again, that information is in an application and the form is noted in the application. Next slide. Project costs, again, on page 29 through 30, line item budgets. And this is really important to know. Project costs must specifically relate to the purpose of the program with description of all program costs to be reimbursed. Line items not specified in the budget will be ineligible for reimbursement. Now, this is important to note because we do, the City of Phoenix on behalf of the region develops a consolidated application, and they do take the line items that you provide. So when you're doing your reporting and you're doing your reimbursement, if there is a reimbursement for a line item you had not mentioned in the application, FTA may come back and say this is not approved for reimbursement. So it's very important that line items not specified in the budget will be ineligible for reimbursement. Funded awards will be based on final funding apportionments published in the final Federal Register. And as I noted, we only received partial apportionment notification at this time. We are waiting for a full confirmation of the full final apportionments. Okay, next slide. Reporting requirements. As I noted, if you received any funds from any foundations, any, grants, any federal grants, mostly, there is a lot of reporting requirements. They just want to know that you are meeting the intent of the awarded funds that you stated. So all subrecipients will be required to submit annual progress reports, including grant milestones, financial status, vehicle information, and program measures to the City of Phoenix. Specific reporting requirements will be outlined in the grant pass-through agreement. Annual milestone report, MPR, are required annually for all active FTA funded projects. And, subrecipients are responsible for complying with all federal, state, and local requirements imposed under the grant. So it's important to note, when you do submit for this grant process, you are agreeing to comply with all federal, state, and local requirements. Failure to comply may result in the withholding of grant funds to subrecipient, and such failure may also result in forfeiture of vehicle asset awards. Please refer to the milestone or MPR program measures on page 31. Okay, next slide. Asset management, located on page 32 to 35. FTA requires written vehicle maintenance plans describing inspections, preventive maintenance, and procedures that keep assets in good condition. This is for vehicle requests. You're required to submit maintenance logs and maintenance records annually. You must acquire and maintain current appropriate insurance on capital equipment while under City of Phoenix lien. You must report substantial damage and changes in the status or condition of a vehicle or other capital equipment to the City of Phoenix within 5 business days, even if satisfactory repair can be made within this period. And subrecipients must report a vehicle incident, accident, or casualty to the City of Phoenix within 72 hours of occurrence. And this information is located in our handbook and guidelines, but I also want to note that the City of Phoenix does an orientation once you receive notification that you're recommended for awarding and the contracts come out. They do an orientation, and they will review a lot of these requirements with you. Next slide. Compliance requirements located on page 37 and 38. You must certify compliance with the requirement of Title VI, Equal Employment Opportunity, and Disadvantaged Enterprise laws and regulations. This is all FTA compliance requirements. FTA requires funds are distributed without regard to race, color, and national origin. Title VI procedures must address how passengers file a Title VI complaint with appropriate due process standard and promote equitable resolution. And I want to highlight this for those that are past recipient and had a compliance review. This was one of the areas that was noted in your compliance, is that you did have a Title VI program and procedures in place, but there was quite a few agencies that did not address how a passenger files a Title VI complaint with appropriate due process standard and prompt equitable resolution. So I wanted to highlight this here, just for your understanding for this grant process. Now, the Equal Employment Opportunity EEO program, if over 50 transit employees, a cooperative agreement, and received 1 million capital operating or contracts totaling 250 in planning assistance. And you must have a DBE program or accept all provisions of the City of Phoenix DBE program if receiving planning, capital operating assistant, and award prime contracts. Now, I did see a comment in the chat saying this may be revised under the current administration, but until we receive notice, all of these are required at this time. We will notify you if there is, but going into this process, all of these are required at this time. Thank you. Next slide. Now, has Stephanie had mentioned a point of contact. We are really happy to be a partner in coordinating this application process with the City of Phoenix as our designated recipient. They have been a great partner in all of this. And by this, they have a general 5310 email address that you can submit any questions. Please use this email, and that's section 5310, all one word, at phoenix.gov. Use this email to submit all 5310 reporting, questions, reimbursement requests, vehicle plans, maintenance submittals, anything related to your contract for 5310. This email is monitored by the City of Phoenix Section 5310 staff, and the staff person responsible for the appropriate area will respond. So there are many components to this application, many requiring components, and they have staff that oversee different sections of this. By utilizing this one email address, it goes to everybody, and the most appropriate person to answer that question or provide comment will do the response. So we are very thankful that the City of Phoenix has provided this one email address specifically for our 5310 program. Use the section 5310 email as our first point of contact. This will help us and keep track of frequently asked questions and assist you when another team member is out of office. So thank you. Next slide. Okay, getting to the part of submitting your application. Now, I'm just going to go over some the items for you to take into consideration when you're submitting your application. We do require a cover letter to introduce your request. And the application submittal information, that is the application itself. Remember, we do provide applicant support one-on-one, which is February 4th and 5th, I believe. If you email Lauren, she can set you up with a 30-minute appointment. And remember that when you do set up for a technical support for 30 minutes, we highly recommend that you bring questions regarding your application and that you have the application itself. In the past, we've had people come and bring, said, this is what we're thinking of applying for, and can you walk us through submitting the application? That is not the best utilization of staff time and your time. So if you have your request, if you're filling it out and you have questions that you really want one-on-one technical support, this is what we're here to do. We want to provide you with as much information and support in submitting your application. And again, we know a majority of you are nonprofit agencies, and this may be your only federal grant program or grant you're applying for. We want to provide that support to you. Okay, I would review the items to remember and review the application. Next slide. The cover letter. I want to walk through submitting the cover letter. Our preference is not submitting more than one page. It is on your agency letterhead. Now, this is because we want to ensure that your agency is aware you're submitting for this grant program. Because as we just reviewed, there's a lot of compliancy and reporting that is required for this. So we want to make sure that your agency knows that you're submitting for this and nothing comes as a surprise for any compliancy. So we request that you have it on your agency letterhead, and this serves as your introduction to the committee. We would like a summary of requested amount, and this must include your commitment for local match. And just include a sentence on your agencies in providing the local match. We are, XYZ agency is committing to providing X amount of dollars in local match. And you can even include by our federal, our general funding pot, or some nonprofits has said through our fundraising efforts. So please include your commitment for local match. It is not a complete cover letter if you do not do that. Briefly, very briefly, describe your agency's need for the requested project. And it must be signed by your agency executive director, CEO, or any person who is legally authorized to sign contracts. Electric signature is okay and can be PDF. We have in the past had we've had like a program manager for your transportation department, or we've had, your division manager. That will not be acceptable. We need somebody who is legally authorized and is able to accept a federal contract from your agency. The question is, will this document be available after the meeting to share the cover letter requirements with my CEO? This will be part of your the presentation that we will have located on the website that you can refer back to. We don't have a template or boilerplate of a cover letter. I'm just reviewing the items that need to be in your cover letter. So we will make this presentation available that you can gather this information from. And again, make it very brief. One page is highly recommended. There may be over 50 project requests coming in that the committee will be reviewing. They do review your cover letter just to get a brief synopsis of your requirement and what you're requesting. And the link to the complete handbook is on the presentation that will be uploaded. And it is on our MAG website at this time. So again, just reiterate, it needs to be on your company letterhead, and it needs to be signed by a CEO or somebody who is legally authorized to sign contracts. If it's not signed by your CEO or somebody who's legally authorized, we will return your cover letter and it may be deemed incomplete. Okay, next slide. Application submittal. Now we're getting to the heart of it. Applications are due Monday, February the 24th by noon. And they will be submitted electronically and emailed to myself and copied Lauren. And the subject line again includes your agency name, the year, and whether you're applying for in the Phoenix Mesa area or the Phoenix Goodyear Avondale area. A complete submission includes the application in the original Excel format and all applicable submittals, the cover letter, and the service area map. Each project request requires a separate application. So if you're applying for vehicles, that is one request. If you're applying for preventive maintenance, that is another request. And just note that this is really a highly competitive grant program, and we only have limited apportionments. So we want to ensure that we are evaluating all requests has its own independent request. Again, late or incomplete applications, no late or incomplete applications will be accepted. And unfortunately, I just want to reiterate that, unfortunately, in the past, this has been an occurrence. So I just want to make sure that you are fully aware that no late or incomplete applications will be accepted. Next slide. Applicant interviews, which is on page 20. All applicants will be required to participate in the applicant interview process after the evaluation panel conducts a preliminary review of your applications. Applicant interviews will take place on the 23rd and 24th virtually, and additional information will be provided to applicants prior to the interview. MAC staff will contact applicants to schedule interview times. Okay. I had another comment on this, but it just completely went out of my head. So again, contact Lauren if you have any questions, but we will schedule the applicant interviews after the review of the applications from the EPDD committee. Next slide. Application submittals. Remember, your certification assurance signature page in the application can be printed and scanned or you can use a PDF version. And I just want to make a note. We did have an update to the certification and assurances, and I know he's here today. Thank you, Ezekias, for that. There was an update to the certification and assurances, but we just wanted to make all of the requirements available to all applicants, no matter what type of request you're applying for. So that is, if you have not started your application, the application has been updated with a new certification of assurances page. If you already started your application, contact Lauren or myself, and we can give you that certificate and assurances that you can add to your application. But as of Monday, the updated application, it should be 9.1, has been uploaded onto our MAG webpage. And it covers everything. When you look at the new certification page, it's a little bit longer, but we just wanted to include everything that FTA would require. And we are making that available to all requests, whether it's traditional or operating.
And Dee Dee, the name of the file would be, I think it's section 5310 application revised.
Thank you. Next point, thank you, Lauren. Application requests will be forwarded to the evaluation panel for review. Please ensure all applicable questions are answered concisely and with sufficient detail. I just wanted to make a comment and provide some feedback. We do give you a limited space. And again, our review panel will most likely be reviewing over 50 project requests. Please make it very succinct, to the point. We know there is a need, or you would, and you are providing great services to the most vulnerable in our population. But this is a highly competitive process, and we want to make sure that you get, your information, but make it to the point. And, if a question does not apply to you, I would highly recommend putting NA, not applicable, or does not apply. We don't want the review panel to just may assume that you just skip that question. If it's not applicable to you, please ensure that you designate that. And the committee doesn't have to assume that you just skip that or you miss that question. Incomplete applications will not be accepted and not move forward to the project evaluation process. Again, during the 2-week interview, MAG or the City of Phoenix staff may contact you for clarifying questions, but if your application is complete at that time, we will notify you that it is an incomplete application. So just a reminder, please just take a moment, have somebody else take a look at your application and look at your submittal. Give them, a list of what should be in there. And it doesn't, is really beneficial. A lot of times I know Lauren and I are looking at the same document over and over again, and we may miss something. And it's helpful that somebody else takes a review of it and make sure that it's complete. I would highly recommend that. And also, I also want to note that you're doing great services. Lauren and I may know that you're doing great services. And the committee may have reviewed your application year after year, but that's been a whole year. Please make sure that you're going in it, that you're a new applicant, and that you're being very concise in your request and the need. Because reviewing over, close to 50 applications is very time consuming, but we want to make sure that we are addressing the needs, and we want to make sure that we do a comprehensive review of your application, but we can only review what the information you provide. Don't assume that we know your agency. And I want to say half of our panel are fairly new to the process. There is really, there is a question that says, is there anything other than the certification and assurances that has changed? And we haven't had any revisions. The grant program hasn't changed. So it is pretty much this, the same application as last year, except for the certification of insurances. But not much has changed. But I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that some applicants kind of may have not scored as high in the past. And again, no late or incomplete applications will be accepted. I apologize for repeating this, but unfortunately, we've had this instance occur in the past. So I just want to make everybody aware of that. Next slide. Applicant support. Presentations and materials will be available on the MAG website. Again, applicant technical assistance by MAG and the City of Phoenix by appointment only. Come prepared with your application and questions. It's 30 minutes. And to schedule appointment time, please contact Lauren Marshall at azmag.gov, and she can set up that appointment for you. I'm just looking over here just to ensure that February 4th and 5th is a Tuesday and Wednesday. I just want to confirm that. We have a lot of moving pieces going on. Okay. And next slide, please. Okay, extra training opportunity. As I noted before, Billy Parker, our subregional mobility manager from Chandler Gilbert ARC, hosted a Section 5310 application discussion workshop on January the 15th. Sub-regional mobility managers also attended and shared some information. We do have that workshop materials. It is on the link. And again, we will post this after the grant workshop. We can go onto the link and you can review the materials. And I believe the recording is on there also. And I just want to do a shout out to Wendy Miller, who was our former designated recipient for the Section 5310 program with the City of Phoenix. She is fortunately now with MAG. So we have, she has offered her assistance if anybody has any questions today. So thank you, Wendy, for that offer. Okay.
You're very welcome.
And there it is.
I'm here. I'm listening in the background.
Thank you, Wendy. I was very sad. And thank you, Jacqueline, for posting the link in the chat of the question and answer workshop. I was extremely sad that we lost Wendy as our designated recipient representative, but I'm so happy she is closer here today. So thank you. Next slide. I just wanted to review our subject mobility managers. We do have a link to their webpage. As I noted, Billy Parker, if you do not know our subject mobility managers and you're applying into this program, I would highly recommend that you get to know our subject mobility managers. They are a great asset. Billy Parker has been a applicant, a subrecipient for this program for a while. He has historical knowledge to offer. Justin McGregor and Don Hawking and Dan, both from TCH, and Justin from STARS. If you have any questions regarding your vehicles, I would reach out to them. Especially Justin, if you are looking at expanding or replacing your vehicles and you have some questions on what is the best way to go about it, I would highly recommend to reach out to Justin McGregor and Andrea Williams. Please reach out to all of our subject mobility managers if you have any questions. They are all subrecipients of 5310 program, so they can offer any tips and highlights. But I just wanted to highlight that. And the email for the regional mobility managers is subregionalmobilitymm@az.gov. If you want to just send a note saying, hi, I'm the new, applicant, or I'm thinking of applying again, I would highly recommend reaching out to them. Next slide. Frequently asked questions. We have 2 frequently asked questions. I'm having technical issues with the application. So I would reach out for assistance with the Excel document. Please reach out to Lauren Marshall or myself, and we can help walk you through with that. One of the issues that we've noted in the past is that when you open the application from the website, you need to save it to your local, I don't know what the technical, your local computer. So if you right off the bat, download it, save it on your computer, and you can work on it from there. Some of the issues we had was that some agencies opened up the application and started working on it and then wondered why it wasn't saved. So that's my very high level technical suggestion is when you download it, please save it immediately to your local computer. The second question is, my agency is applying for the first time. I see that participating in coordination activities is a federal requirement. How can I best answer the coordination questions and find out more information? Again, those that are new, which is one of the reasons why we recommend and suggest that you do a one-on-one applicant support. We can review what it takes to meet those federal requirements for coordination efforts. Please contact myself. In the meantime, for guidance, it's important to note first-time applicants must schedule an application technical assistance meeting. Contact Lauren and she can schedule that for you. Next slide. And we do have a frequently asked questions page. It is on our MAG website. And we also have the link. And again, we will have this presentation available to you after our workshop, so you can go directly to that link. Next slide. Now, items to remember. Participation in regional coordination efforts is a requirement for those applying and those past recipients. Even as long as you have a federal asset under this awards program, whether it's 10 years ago or last year, you're still required to participate in regional coordination efforts. And we do report your coordination participation to the City of Phoenix, who reports that to FTA. So it's important to remember that this is, as long as you have a contract with the City of Phoenix, as long as you have a federal asset, this is still a requirement. So it's also important to note, once you enter an agreement for this program, that will be a requirement for as long as you have a contract. Attending MAG Transportation Ambassador Program meetings is one way to participate in coordination efforts. Our next TAP meeting, we refer to TAP, is scheduled for February the 25th at 1 p.m. It will be virtually through Zoom, and you can register at the link provided. And again, we will post this presentation, or you can reach out to Lauren. New applicant must meet with MAC staff. Please contact Lauren Marshall to set up a meeting. We've already had quite a few new applicants reach out to MAC staff, so thank you for reaching out and scheduling your meeting with us. Next slide. Contact information. I wanted to ensure that we do have the contact information available for you. Again, myself, Stephanie, and Lauren. It's our full contact information. Next slide. We also grant reimbursement contacts. Eleanor Perez is information there. Vivian Yabenes and Leticia, also information there. But again, please utilize the Section 5310 at phoenix.gov, and your questions or questions on your contract or questions regarding compliancy, it would go to the most appropriate person. Next slide. Those who've had for compliancy and civil rights, these are your staff. Christina, Rita, and Antoinette, and their email is pddcompliance@phoenix.gov. Again, this is for federal compliance and civil rights questions. Next slide. For those who have vehicles or have questions regarding vehicles, we do have their contacts, Carl, Raul, and Carl again, Montgomery, and the full contact list can be found on the MAG website. Okay, next slide. Now, if you have not visited our webpage, this is when I'm referring to. It will be uploaded onto the MAG webpage. This is our Human Services Transportation webpage, and on this page, you will find links for the EPD Transportation Committee, links to the Human Services Transportation workshops that we have. MAG Connector Ride is a service provider inventory, and if you are awarded, your information will be required to be on the MAG Connector Ride and our subregional mobility managers. I'm providing the link here. Please take a look at our webpage and see all of the resources that we have available for you. We're here to support you. Next slide. And then our grant application, again, it is 9.1. We provided the link. Is Jason Howard on the call? I'm going to stop here and take a 10-minute break, and then I am going to contact Jason, who will review our service area maps and how you can do. Oh, thank you, Jacqueline. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and read the chats. The cover letter template is in the handbook, so thank you for pointing that out. So let's take a 10-minute break and let's come back at 10:41. And when we come back, we will do a very high level of the application itself. But I would like to bring in Jason Howard, who can walk you through on how to do your service area map, which is a requirement as part of your supplementals. So let's get back here at 10:42. At 10:42 now. Okay, we'll take a brief break. Thank you. think thank you for coming back. Just gonna wait a couple of seconds. We do have some people logging back on to continue with the workshop. Okay, I think we're good to go. So I will be reviewing the application itself. And I just want to note that I will be doing a very high level review of the application. And I will be reviewing the application. I will be highlighting the most frequent requests, and that is the vehicles and then some operating. But if you have a specific request, definitely we are available to walk you through it at the one-on-one technical support next week. You can definitely give myself or City of Phoenix a call, or send them an email, and they can go ahead and also answer any questions that you might have. Okay. All right, I will go ahead and I just want to on your screen right now is the application. We did do a revision, and thank you for that person who submitted the question. The certification and assurance is really the only thing that really changed for the application. You're looking at version 9.1. Also, if you've already started on your application, we can go ahead and send you the certification insurance separately. It is posted on the MAG website, the PDF, and you can find it there. But if you wanted to submit it with the application, reach out to us and we can give you that. Okay, I am.
I'm just working on getting the application up for ADD.
Okay, thank you. And actually, Jason Howard will be joining us in a little bit, and he will be
I'm here.
reviewing. Oh, he is here. Oh, that was very quick. Lauren, can we hand this over to Jason? And
Put your tap dancing shoes away, Dee Dee.
I know,
I'm
right?
on the
Thank you, Jason. You're so quick. As we noted, part of your submittals for this process is that you will be submitting a service area map. And as we also noted, Title VI demographic information will be provided in that service area map. On our MAG website, we do have a link to where you can go to do your service area maps, but I would like to thank Jason Howard for being here today. He has worked with us for a couple of years, and he has refined and updated our map to include all the necessary information that we need to report on. So Jason is here today, and he can walk you through on how you can work through the link and develop your service area map. I will now hand this over to Jason. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You should be seeing a map on your screen. At least it says it's sharing, so I'm gonna believe that that's true.
We do.
All right, okay, very good. Okay, this application is probably unchanged from previous years, except perhaps for the UZA boundaries. These are updated. They were updated in 2023, so these are brand new, smoothed, urbanized area boundaries based off the 2020 census and developed by ADOT. Okay, so I'll just refresh this real quick to show you how this looks when you pull it up. You'll get this little splash screen, and it will instruct you to direct all questions to Lauren Reed, who will then direct the technical issues to me. So then we come in, and I'm going to define a service area. Well, first I have to fill out some basic information. The application type, I'm just going to say vehicles, organization name, test, which is what I've been using, my name, and then my email address. Next, I have some options for how I want to define my my area, my application area. The simplest one is going to be probably drawing a rectangle. That's the area of interest. But we can also do, well, okay, it's not going to let me switch between those. So I guess I'll show you the rectangle first. So I come in and I zoom in, and I'm just going to define my areas running from here to the freeway and maybe all the way over to 17, basically bounded like that. So I say, yeah, that's great. If that's not acceptable, if you screwed up, which I, you know, would be one of those people who would do it, I just say undo last graphic. If you want to add another part, if you say have a discontinuous, a non-contiguous service area, you can add multiple polygons just like that. So I've drawn those and I'm going to hit next, and it's going to say, are you sure about that? And then I'm going to hit yes. And it's going to give me a little summary of some basic demographics, you know, how it's, and also how it's split between the two urbanized areas. And so we can export that to PDF. And we get, thank you, we get our map that we've drawn. We get that little demographic summary. And then we've got our little bit of information that we typed in up front. So this you can slip this right into your application packet very easily. Okay, now I'm just going to refresh everything and start that over just to show you these other options that we have on, there we go, on the drawing our area of interest. Point of interest, that's an easy one. You could just basically put a point and then you can add a buffer. If you say, well, our service area is just going to be, you know, 4-ish miles from, you know, whatever that is, whatever my idea of what downtown Phoenix is. Or we can get rid of that. Or if our region of interest, this is more likely what a lot of people are going to end up having is a region of interest, which is going to be a less than ideal shape. It's like, let's say I have an oddly defined service area. It starts at the intersection of the 101 and the 60, and we come out to Val Vista. We'll drop down to Warner. No, we'll drop down to Ray, and then we come over to McQueen, back up to Elliott, back over to the freeway, and maybe follow the freeway a little more exactly. That's how that works. And with all of these, we can also add buffers as well. So if you have an idea of what your service area is broadly, and then say, well, maybe a mile beyond that would be our service area. You can do that. Okay, and then that's that's kind of all I have to show you on that. If you can obviously scroll in and look at this map pretty close detail. If you need to toggle to imagery, there's a little base map toggle in the lower right-hand corner that lets you switch between the two views. If you need to get down into the weeds at that level, we do offer that. Oh, finally, if you're one of those agencies that just serves the region, Maricopa County, we'd had that button. I'll go back. Just this use Maricopa County region-wide. Hit that, boom, it's there. So that'll just that'll just go right into your report, you know, as we demonstrated. And that's all I have for this. This is a fairly simple application, but please feel free to reach out to me or by way of Lauren. My email is jhoward@azmag.gov. Are there any questions from the viewing audience at home?
Right, Jason, we do have a comment that says, what do you mean? And I'm not sure what that's referring to.
I don't know. I get that all the time. What are you talking about? I don't know. If we could get a clarification on which specific bit I kind of raced through, please let me
Yes.
know.
Jacqueline, do you have
I
any
was actually,
clarification?
yeah, I
Go
was
ahead.
actually asking Hillary what she meant by
Oh,
just Form 10B. But I actually had a specific question. My service area hasn't changed since last year. Can I just use the map that I drew last year and submitted with last year's application?
Jason, can I answer this?
Yes.
I would recommend that you do another map. All of the maps are fed into a service area map that we provide to the committee for the evaluation. So we do an overlay of all the maps that are submitted. So I would recommend that you do a new service area map.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any questions on the application or not the app? I mean, the application, the map viewer, I should say.
Jason, I don't know if I missed this, but how do you create a PDF of after you?
Oh, well, let's go back to this bit where we're creating the region-wide service area. So it's just basically stepping through the whole process. You sure you want to submit? Yes. Hit submit. That goes in there. Okay, you get this little summary at the end. And then the export to PDF button is up here prominently at the top. Hopefully that's prominent. And then it'll download that. When you hit that, it'll just kick out a PDF. And there you have it.
Thank you, Jason. And
Got
as I
it.
noted, thank you, Jason, and your staff for continuing to update this and improve this for our applicants. And just note that when you do submit an application, MAC staff gets an electronic copy, and we use that information to again build a map that's overlaid with all the services. But you also need to include a PDF in your application packet, and that one the committee does get, and they review that when they're reviewing your application. So you do need to submit that.
I would also like to add, I just got the test ones from Jason. When they get sent to me, I do get that breakdown of the demographic information and the populations. So I think having a new map this year would be extremely important to make sure we have updated demographics.
Thank you, Lauren. Do we have any other questions for Jason? Again, the link to the map is on the MAG webpage along with the application and the handbook.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
there
you.
is a question
Oh.
that says, let me see if I can read it. Because we have a region of interest, which isn't the easiest to draw, I'm hoping that as in prior years, once an updated one is completed for this year, it could be applied to all the types of applications that we are submitting. Or can there be a way to copy it? Thank you.
It says Ikea is here.
Yes.
I think what Donna might be trying to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Donna, but they probably have multiple applications and they want to know if they can submit one map and use that same map PDF on all of the applications.
Thank you, Ezekias. Donna, I hope
Yeah.
is that.
Yes, that's exactly right. If we're doing a capital application and an operating application and a vehicle application, and we have the same service area applicable to all of them, trying to redraw the map each time is nearly impossible because it's not the easiest to get our boundaries right. So I know in the past it was, I wish there was a way to make it applicable to multiple applications at once, or if there was some way to just copy and refer to it.
And can they just use the same map and like cross out, instead of the service type instead of like transportation. They just pencil in vehicles or something like that with their application. And then
Yes, and
next time around, we'll have to make like a multi-selection option.
Thank you. That would be helpful. Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that that's been done in the past. I just wanted to confirm that it would be acceptable this year too.
And thank you, Donna. I think, as Jason said, we can look at that in the past, but again, this demographic information is loaded for each of the project requests that we provide. We develop our overlay map that goes to, and not only the evaluation committee, we also provide that map to the city of Phoenix for reporting purposes.
Right, which is why each time I created it, and if I come up with a different area because I click in a different place, it comes up with different demographics, which isn't correct because it's the same demographics. It's just my poor map drawing ability, apparently.
And we definitely can look into that, Donna. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, any other questions for
Are we
Jason?
doing a map for Phoenix Mesa Scottsdale and a separate map for Phoenix West Gilbert Avondale because they're two separate applications?
Yes. And remember, every project request is a separate application.
Dee Dee, they don't have to use this application. They can, if they have some other source, like I know Valley Metro usually has their own, map makers in-house. And, if you have something else available, by all means.
Thank you, Jason. Any other questions? Again, thank you, Jason and the IT department for developing this. This is a great improvement from the old days where we had it hand-drawn and, and Googled, and then you had to compile all that information. And now, since we have to do a lot of Title VI reporting, this is very convenient just to pull that information all together. So Jason, thank you so much for reviewing this and for your constant support in our program.
You got it. Certainly. Thanks.
Okay. And
Okay.
definitely, Lauren, if you could put his email address in the chat, or Jason, if you can put in the chat, that would be great. And we can have that available for our participants today. Okay. All right. Now we're here, and like I noted, I will review the most common parts. Thank you, Jason, for providing that. Portions of the application itself. It hasn't changed from the previous years. The only thing is the certification insurance has been updated, and we are requiring everybody just to sign the whole thing. So thank you for your patience, and let's get on with the reviewing of the application. And thank you, Lauren, for bringing it up. When you, I know this is, I'm asking Lauren to do something that wasn't rehearsed. If Lauren, can you just pull up our EPDT webpage so I could just review the items that's on our webpage? I'm sorry, this is kind of off, I'm just winging it here.
Yep, just 1 second, Dee Dee.
Okay, thank you. But when you do click on the link that is on the MAD webpage, this is the application that will come up. It's already in an Excel spreadsheet. Again, I highly recommend that when you open it up, please save it right to your computer. This is the EPDT webpage where you find the application right there, and it's the newer version, the handbook, the submittals, application submittals. We have it in PDF form, and the link to build your service area map is right there. And then we have our Human Services Coordination Transportation Plan, the newest one. and then preventive maintenance summary sheet just for your information. So all of this information is on the webpage. And Lauren, if you can go down a little bit more. If you are applying outside of the region, thank you for hanging on. But if you do, I know a couple of agencies do an application request in the MAG area, and with the ADOT process, we do have information and the links and the contact person on our webpage at the bottom for the Arizona Department of Transportation 5310 application process. So this is information for you, and we just want to make sure all of this information is in one place. I also want to know, and this was a comment that came in before, we are no longer doing separate email group batches. We are utilizing GovDelivery. So I know a lot of you have been accustomed to getting emails directly from MAG staff. Due to the complexity and a lot of emails not accepting batch emails, and some agencies, it goes into your spam folder. We are now utilizing GovDelivery. If you are on our mail list, you are already subscribed to get GovDelivery. All of our update information, whenever we update the web page, you'll be notified. But if you see at the bottom of this, you can get email updates, and you can click on that little icon at the bottom to be subscribed to this web page if you want to. And we do have quite a few people applying that are not subrecipients, just want to know what's going on with our region. But anytime we have any updates, we will post it on the MAG webpage, and that will go through GovDelivery, just to make it equitable for everybody, and it doesn't go into your spam folder. Okay, thank you, Lauren, for showing that, and then we can now go back to the application. And again, like I noted, I'm just going to highlight some areas, and I will review the most frequent requests as vehicles, and then for operating, I'll probably do volunteer. So when you get to this page, I know those of you who have applied before, this may be, redundant information, but we now have, if you want to, we ask you to put your applicant name, and then you'll select the application area. That is one of our newer revisions. We have the Phoenix Mesa Scottsdale area, and then we have the Phoenix West Goodyear Avondale. Please note that one project request per application. Again, if you're applying for vehicles, preventive maintenance, operating, any of these, it's one application per request. Also, if you're requesting vehicles, we will ask if it's a replacement or expansion. If it's new vehicles, is deemed expansion. If we can, let's go to that page while I'm talking about it now, to the vehicle page. We are limiting our vehicle request to 5 vehicles. And then when you do make a choice, it will autofill your federal share, your local share, and your total cost. Thank you, Lauren. This is great. And then we do highly recommend that you do a second choice just in case. We always recommend that you provide a second choice. You never know what happens, but your first choice will autofill, and we'll have that information. And then if you scroll down more, we'll have additional information regarding the utilization of your vehicle. Daily hours in service, service miles, daily passenger, and address. And it's important to note the address where your vehicle will be housed. We do know that those larger agencies do have different different program areas. So we will need to know where in you may have, you know, a satellite area. We will need to know where your vehicle is physically housed. Okay. And then if it's a replacement, we will ask, does this vehicle replace an existing vehicle? And you will ask, is it yes or no? Yes, we'll ask for that information. And then no, you know, you can go down to the other information. It will total up your total request, your match, the justification, and then where your local match will be coming from. And how, and we do try to ensure that if your request number is above, we'll note that. So you'll see, or is under or over requested, you'll see that little red notification right there. So I just wanted to do a brief overview of that since I was already talking about it, but let's go ahead and go back to the beginning. And for our application, we do have some instructions for you to refer to. Please review all the instructions. And we do say areas in green that are on each tab. The green area identifies a cell for which data is needed. So you'll be able to put your narrative or whatever information in those green blocks. And again, like I noted, if something does not apply to you, I would highly recommend does not, you know, not applicable. There, gray cells may be grayed out and skipped if you are applying for, okay. Okay, we did say, unfortunately, the MAG webpage is still showing 9.0 when
And I
opened.
just checked, and that is correct. It is still 9.0, so I'm going to double check with the web department right now, because when I looked the other day, it was correct. So I will check
Okay.
with them.
All right, thank you. Thank you. The light purple is used for tab headings. Light blue is used for questions and informational items. If you can scroll down a little bit, please note it is highly recommended to refer to the 5310 handbook. If you have any questions, to enter a carriage return for a cell for text entries, the user should press the Alt-T key and Enter key. Please be concise. As I noted before, text entries are limited to a maximum of 2,000 characters, not to exceed 500 words. Please keep in mind, we have a panel of about 12 committee members from all over the MAG region. They will be reviewing in excess, I estimate, over 50 applications this year. Please be very concise. And again, half of our committee members are either been on the review panel for 1 to 2 years, and some are are new. So if you have applied in the past and you said this is the same application, please go at it with fresh eyes that whoever is reviewing your application, this may be the first time they're seeing your application or know of your agency. Okay, and then again, tabs 10A, your supplementals B and C can be printed out and submitted. We also provide a PDF version for you to print out. And if you have any questions, I'm going to refer to Lauren, who can answer any questions, or definitely you can email me. The next tab we'll go to is your title page. And I just reviewed that. This will be your starting point. 1 project per application, a limit of 5 vehicles per request. I'm going to highlight first the most common parts that everybody will be filling out. So we do provide you a checklist. And if you can go to the checklist tab. Again, we know that this may be the only federal grant award program that you're applying for. So we want to, and a lot of you are nonprofit agencies that may not have submitted a grant like this before. So we want to provide you with as much support. So again, we provide our contact information and we provide a checklist for you. The checklist covers a cover letter, what you provide in the cover letter, and then each section of the application, section 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if that seems very similar to my presentation on the handbook and the evaluation criteria, it is. So they kind of correspond. The evaluation criteria corresponds to the sections in the application. So it's easy for you to determine this is the area, this is how they're going to score it. This is what they're looking at. So if you just can scroll down, we do have each section and the titles of each section on there for you to check off. And we just want to make sure that you're aware of these. Lauren, I don't, can I scroll? No. If you can scroll down just a little bit more.
Yep, just 1 second.
Okay, I knew you were busy doing multiple things. Again, each category, your vehicle request, equipment request, if you're applying for those, make sure you check it off. And your support documents. Do you have the signed copy of commitments for coordination? Do you have a signed copy of the certification and assurances, the lobbying form? If it's applicable, the certification of de minimis. And if you scroll down a little bit more for attachments, we will outline everything that you need. New applicants, and I know there's quite a few new applicants here, indicate that you have read the handbook and guidelines. You've read the entering into agreement with the City of Phoenix and the compliance requirements. Those are very important. We want to ensure your success in this program. So we want to ensure that you know what are the requirements in entering an agreement and accepting this award. And we do anticipate everybody, hopefully with the amount of apportionments, we can meet the needs and everybody's ordered, but that's not up to me. Okay. So this checklist is provided for you to help you ensure that you have all the pieces of your application ready to submit to us when it is completed. And as I noted before, I would highly recommend having somebody take a look at all your documents and ensure that all of the pieces are there. Unfortunately, and this is, we haven't really had it in the past. Unfortunately, we've had some agencies submit an incomplete application. So I just want to make you aware, please ensure that you are, have all the pieces together. Okay. Let's go on to the next tab, applicant information. This is information that everybody will have to fill out. Your legal name of your organization. This is a request from Phoenix to have the legal name, and your agency SAM ID. And again, as I noted, when you do enter into SAM, please make sure that that you have it accessible for non-confidential information so that the City of Phoenix can go in SAMs to ensure and confirm that you are registered. We will ask for your agency official, the person legally authorized to sign the contracts, your financial contract, and your transportation contract. And I just want to note that when we send out notification or information regarding your contract or anything related to this grant awards program, we will send it to the contact people that you have noted on this application. If you do have a grants person, we will not specifically send that information to your grant writer. We will send it to the person who is legally authorized to sign contracts, who is liable for this contract. Okay, I just wanted to ensure that you are aware of that. But we do ask for your transportation contact. If you scroll down, please use the delivery address for the vehicles again. And then if you're applying for a vehicle, fill out the information for the vehicle title. And this is the information that will go on your vehicle title. And this is where you'll add in additional agency contact. This is the information that we pull for your subrecipient notifications. We provide this information, updated contact information to the City of Phoenix, so their contact list is up to date. So please make sure that anybody else that needs to have information regarding this application or the contract, you provide that information here. Okay. Thank you. Next tab. Experience and capabilities. This is asked of everybody. How many years has the agency been providing services related to your request? Please list the number of staff or volunteers your agency will dedicate to administrate this project, whether they be part-time, full-time staff, volunteers. We want to know, do you have enough staff support if you're applying for vehicles to be compliant with the vehicles? If you're applying for a volunteer program, that you have enough staff to ensure that your program can meet all the federal requirements. And we just want to have an idea of who is supporting you. And we know some of your volunteer programs, you may be the only, there may be only 3 full-time staff people, but you have volunteers. Please note that if they are part of helping administer this program, please note that here. Also describe how each position will support this program. So if you say volunteers, we have, 20 volunteers, this is where you can say, a portion of their time will be for this program. We just want to know that if you have support to administer this grant award. And then does your agency have any policies and procedures in place for the following areas? And we list out a number of the areas. These are taking right out of the circular. I did review this in the handbook. These are things that are fit for compliancy. If you have any questions or you don't have a policy or procedure in place, we do have an area where you can describe that, but these are pretty much all that is required. If you want to scroll down. And then does your agency have any federal grant funds? Has a recipient or subrecipient? And a question was answered for those larger agency with many departments. I did speak with, and Wendy, if you want to chime in too, I did confer with Phoenix. And for this application, if you want to report on your transportation department or division, we can take that information, but just note when we do the full audit is for the whole organization. So when we ask for the audit report, it will be for the whole organization. And then we do get to the SAMs. Are you registered in the SAMs? And then have your agency ever been declared or suspended of receiving federal funds? Yes or no. If you type no, you can move on. If you type yes, that gray area will open and then you can describe that. And does your agency have a previously awarded yet unexpended 5310 grant? When you type yes, that will open up and you will be able to put in that information there. Please note that the City of Phoenix will be reviewing any unexpended 5310 funds, so we will also have that information. But if you do, this is the area to put that information on. And if you do, if you're not the staff person who follows this and you want information, please contact the City of Phoenix and they can give you an update on that. I know for the larger agencies, there's different staff. You have your vehicle maintenance people, you have your grant writers, then you have, maybe another staff person handling all of your compliance reporting and stuff and expenditures. If you want to know something about your contract, please ask before you go into this process. And then we also want to ask, we also want you to describe any performance measures that will be used to implement and evaluate the project request. Include in your description any measurable indicators you propose to use. And this is, we want to ensure that these are federal funding. We want to be good stewards of federal funds. We want to ensure that you have a method. What is the method that you are going to use to ensure that these funds are doing what you say they're intended to do? Just explain that. How are you going to measure that? How are you going to understand that this is successful and we're meeting the needs and we're using the funds as we intended to? That's all we're asking for this portion. And then as we noted before, the little kind of gray area, end of section. So you know that that's all the questions for this page. The other one that everybody will fill out is your project description. Enter the start and end date of operating assistance or mobility management request will be utilized. And that will usually be the start of your contract, which will be in October to the end of September. If your capital vehicle request, you don't have to fill this out. We do the procurement on our City of Phoenix will do the procurement on their end. And again, that timeline is dictated by the manufacturing. The next question is, please describe the purpose of the project and how does it support the intent of the 5310 program of being planned, designed, and carried out to meet the specific needs of seniors and individuals with disabilities. Please note, and this is directly out of the Federal Register, it is not sufficient that seniors and individuals with disabilities are merely included or assumed to be included among the people who will benefit from the project. This is directly out of the circular. This is a question that the committee will ask. Again, they are reviewing over close to 50 applications. Please take your time, be very concise. Please know that this is intended for the targeted population of older adults and persons with disability. And I would suggest, having somebody take a look at that to see if your explanation is clear and concise. Okay. Next one, we will just please describe the project, how it relates to other services that are provided in the area, and how it will fill a gap in transportation for the targeted population. If this is FTA wants to know, are you aware of all the other services in your area? And how does this specifically fill the gaps? And I would go back to, to the intent of the program. It specifically meets the need of the target population where transportation is insufficient, inappropriate, or unavailable. So how does this meet the needs? And I know a lot of you are providing services and, there is a need in there for consumers that public transportation may not be the most appropriate. But I would also say, how can you work with what is available? And if you're aware of that. The next question is, please describe how your requested project will be sustainable over time. The Section 5310 program has been in existence under numerous names, under different legislative acts for over 20 years. We are part of the bigger transportation bill, but we are seeing an increase in requests. And in the past, we've had more requests than we've had funding available for. So if you were, we want to know, how will you sustain this award in the future and over time? This may not be, we want to see that you're not dependent on this one grant program to sustain your program, because it's not guaranteed. This is an open competitive process. We have limited apportionments for our urban areas. We want to know how, we want to provide you that support, but we will also want to know how it's going to be sustainable over time. Okay. And if we can go down a little bit further, we do ask how many clients will be served by this. We do this for reporting, you know, how many are older adults, how many have a disability, how many have a combination of both. You know, we do kind of, we do report on different sections of populations that will be served with this. And does your agency track the minority clients whom you serve, or are they, or likely to serve? I know some of you have a process in place to collect that data. Some of you may not, but please describe it right here. And then for those numbers, provide a demographic breakdown of the population. This is something that Donna, I believe, was referring to. When you do your service area maps, you can pull those numbers from your service area maps, the demographic list here. And we also have some agencies that pull this. You can utilize those numbers too, but it's very acceptable to utilize the numbers on your service area maps. Okay, and if we can go down a little bit further, and then we do have some guidance that 100%. It is perfectly all right to say, you know, your population serves one certain area at 90% and 10% of that, but the total must be 100% at the end. And then we are asking about your service time. And I know in the past, there are some agencies who say we provide service 24 hours a day, you know, 7 days a week. What we're asking here is not when service may be available. You know, if a client, you know, is in these services at midnight, we're asking when your core hours of the services that you provide, if it's a vehicle, for example, what are your core hours that the vehicles are providing services? Okay, it's not when it's available, it's the core hours of services. Okay. All right. And then the next tab I want to review that everybody will fill out is, I believe, the coordination. If we can move to that tab. The coordination plan. The coordination. As I said, it is a federal requirement that anybody who participates in this program, they have to participate in coordination efforts. What FTA is asking is, do you work with any of the nonprofits or transit agencies or cities or anybody in your area? Do you know who they are? They want to know that. And this is being stressed a little bit more. I've noticed, you know, of working with other departments, government departments. But they want to know, do you know your area? Again, this goes back to being good stewards of federal funds. So the first question is coordination participation. Describe your participation in MAG regional coordination efforts. That could be TAP meetings, that could be workshops, that could be handing in the service provider inventory, that could be you know, reaching out to our mobility managers. That's just one section of it. Now, this other section is developing partnerships. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to another nonprofit agency down the line? Are you talking to a sub-regional mobility manager trying to figure out maybe a maintenance plan? Who else are you talking to? Again, FTA wants to know, do you know the other agencies in your area. And then the third question is, please list out who you're talking to and what you're, what are you doing? You could have attended one of our subdivision mobility managers workshop, if you can scroll down a little bit, and we talked about vehicle sharing or whatever. You could say, I reached out to Billy and, to ask for additional information. Looking at possibly have travel training for some of my consumers, for those that it's appropriate for. Lauren, can you scroll down a little bit? So that is where you would put list of names and other agencies involved and the impact experienced by your agencies due to this coordination effort. So it's 3 really separate questions. We're asking, how are you participating in MAG efforts? The next question is, if you can scroll, I'm sorry. I'll make sure the wording. What are other developing partnerships? Have you reached out? And I just want to use this example. One year we had an agency, and during the interviews, we had this one agency come in, but prior to the agency A coming in, we had agency B who interviewed before and agency who interviewed after. And both B and C noted they were talking to agency A. And it wasn't about transportation. It was just about how, they could coordinate and collaborate on their programs. But agency A never mentioned that. So it doesn't have to be transportation related. FTA wants to know, who do you know of the services around your area? So this would be where you would put that in. And then we mentioned it to agency A, and we said, we've had several agencies say they've talked to you and, they met with you, and they're like, oh yeah, they did, but they never put it on their application. So this is where you would put that, and any developing conversations you may have. So there are really 3 separate different questions. And if you have any questions on this, please feel free to reach out to me and I can help guide you on that. So the other portion, if you can scroll down, is we do ask you, so what are some of your coordination activities? And I just want to reiterate, these are some of the most frequent coordination activities, best practices that we found nationally. And we just want to take a polling of what is being worked on here. It's okay to say no, because if you do say no, the dialog box to your right, hopefully, will come up and explain that. Send drivers to training held by other agencies. No, and it'll come up. We have a small staff. We cannot have a driver away from providing services. This helps us with our regional planning. This helps us to know where we need to look to provide more support, look for best practices, find out how we can move forward on some of these. So do not be hesitant to say no. And if some of these work out for you, and you say yes, we may reach out to you to get, to kind of learn how you're doing this. But we utilize this internally in our planning efforts. But I definitely would say, don't hesitate to say no and why. And again, our evaluation team does take a look at this portion. If you want to scroll down more, addressing regional gaps, where are you located in our coordination plan? We do have a link to our coordination plan. It's on, I believe, page 1 or 2 is the strategies. List out, is it vehicles? Is it, operating? Is it, looking at other alternative transportation? They're listed out there, and you can put the plan and put the page number on that. Another area that you can list is we do have a listing of current subrecipients and their information, agency information, put that down, put that page number down. We do have a page where we say participants. If you're listed under that, put that page down. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We need to ensure that you're participating in coordination efforts, or you intend to participate in coordination efforts, and we receive that information. We have to confirm that to the City of Phoenix, and they have to confirm that you're participating to FTA. And describe your agency's plans to outreach to other agencies on new coordination activities or partnerships in the coming year. For those that applied in the past, and I've noted this before, we provide the evaluation team 3 years of this specific questions in the coordination matrix. What the committee will be looking at is, are you increasing your coordination efforts year after year? I would highly recommend not cutting and pasting from a previous application. The committee will note that, and they brought it up several times during our interview. So take a look at does your agency describe your agency's plans to outreach. If you're a new agency, contact me. I can help you guide you through this. But if you are a continuing subrecipient, please note we will give them 3 years of past applications on this particular questions to the agency, to the evaluation panel for their consideration in the review, in the evaluation of your application. Okay. And then if we want to scroll down, I believe that's the end of the section. Now, there is a vehicle inventory, which is the next tab. If you're applying for vehicles or you're applying for preventive maintenance, this form needs to be filled out. Please ensure that this is filled out when you submit your application or it's incomplete. And on here is where you will know whether the vehicle you're requesting is a replacement. And it says, is this a replacement vehicle, yes or no? So I would highly recommend, if you are requesting a replacement and you fill out the information on the vehicle page, you come back here and ensure that information is the same information, that they correspond. A couple of times we've had, it could have been human error where that information did not match up. We had to go back. The City of Phoenix had to review it. So I would take a moment, if you're asking for a replacement, to ensure that the information you provide on the vehicle request page corresponds with information you have on this vehicle inventory. And again, this is only for those applying for vehicles and preventive maintenance. Next tab is our other supplemental information. I would like to go to your commitment to strategies. We've had in the past some agencies say, I did not know we had to participate, in coordination efforts. When you sign this page, you are saying that you understand that this is a federal requirement to participate in coordination activities, and your agency will accept that and keep participating in coordination efforts. Whether you have a contract that is 10 years old and you still have a vehicle asset, or 2 years ago, you're still required to participate in coordination efforts. And we refer back to this page if you have any questions, noting that it was signed by your agency. So if you do have a past application, I would just review it. A lot of times, people are saying, well, I don't know when we got this vehicle. I don't know when, the end of life is coming up, or how long we had it, or how we can dispose it. I would just kind of review those contracts. And if you have any questions, definitely reach out to the City of Phoenix, and they can help you with that. I did see If we reach out, if we outreach or partner with other agencies, is it only limited to other nonprofit agency? No, that's a good question. No, it doesn't have to be other nonprofit agency. Developing partnerships. There was an example. It's like an agency was talking with Discount Tires to set up, some kind of fleet management on, rotating tires and stuff like that. So they're working with another agency. They're working with Discount Tire Company. I would definitely note that. Definitely, you're looking at the best resources and best way to get your maintenance done, being very cognizant, of being efficient and strategic. So I would definitely note that. So commitment to strategies. Again, I would like to note that once you sign this, you are saying that you are going to participate in attending TAP meetings, workshops, providing survey information, reaching out to other activities, other agencies. And so I just want to really highlight those, especially those that are new agencies. And then the other ones are the other supplemental documents. If we can go to the next one, 10B, that's the certification of assurances. Again, I know this is very long, but we want to cover everything, whether it be a capital request, whether it be an operating request. We want to cover all of our bases. While we do give you the option to choose the most, the description of assurances or certifications that you think would be appropriate for your project, I would highly recommend that you click all, that you agree to all of the categories in the handbook and in the circular, and entering an agreement with the city of Phoenix. It does say that you will adhere to all federal regulations, whether it be federal, city, or local. So just to cover your bases, because if something new comes up, if there's a new requirement, is covered. All of those things are covered. And if it doesn't apply to you now and something comes up, with the new administration coming in, you've already said that you will adhere to those regulations. So it's not only federal, it's not only state, it's local. Okay, next slide. Next tab, please. Lobbying, we did cover that. Everybody's required to do to sign this, and there is a tab for de minimis. If you can click on that, right now it will be coming up blank. Most of you will not do this. It's mostly for operating. But if you do choose de minimis in your project request, this will open up so you can sign this and submit it. I know we're coming up to 12 o'clock. I did do vehicles. I just did do a very brief overview of vehicles. If you have any questions regarding this, everything is pretty much self-explanatory. I do want to provide a couple of comments. The other one, I can't say this enough. Please remember that Lauren and I may know your organization, Stephanie may know your organization, but your application goes to the EPTT committee for review, and they may be new. I don't believe Jackie, I'm going to refer your question to Stephanie and she can get back with you. And Wendy, I don't know if you're on, but she is asking, can we include de minimis and preventive maintenance?
Hi, Dee Dee. This is Wendy.
Hi.
No, it's only for, hold on, let me look. I believe it was only for operate.
Right. And that was my understanding too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So a couple of, before we leave for today, again, thank you, Wendy. If I cannot answer a question, I will always defer. I will always go back. Please be patient. I want to ensure that I give you the most correct information. I will either consult with Wendy or the City of Phoenix. A lot of the compliances will be with the City of Phoenix. They are the ones that do oversight on that. As I noted, we have a fairly new EPD committee. Please write that, this is new. This is a new application. Again, fill out all of the questions. If it doesn't apply to you, put NA. If there are some of the activities, coordination activities that you don't do, please don't hesitate to say no. Please don't skip over those questions. The committee, in reviewing it, will go back and they will ask that question. Did you skip this intentionally? They will ask me and I'll ask you. So please, don't leave anything unintentionally blank. If it doesn't apply, just say NA. Also ensure that we do give you that checklist. Make sure that everything is in your packet. Have somebody review it, have another set of eyes to review it. If you have any questions or you're asking for a new request and it's a new request to you, but you're a prior applicant, schedule a one-on-one. We can answer those questions. You can write, if you're an agency that has multiple requests, bring all of them at the one-on-one next week for Stephanie and I. And if we don't have the question, we don't have the answer, we will go back and confirm for you. We want to ensure you get the most current and appropriate answer for you. I know we have about 10 minutes. I tried to answer your questions as we went by. Does anybody have any other questions? I know this is a long time for you. We are here to support you. Thank you, Lauren, for putting up that contact information. Write it down. Lauren is my colleague here at MAG. We are here to provide any support for you. We are very grateful for the City of Phoenix and their staff for supporting this program. We are grateful for Wendy with her historical knowledge that we can confer and answer any questions for you. Again, we will not accept any late or incomplete applications, and the cutoff time is at noon. It is electronic submittals only. We do need the original Excel spreadsheet. You're more than welcome to PDF all your information if you like, but we do need the Excel spreadsheet because we do pull data off of that for reporting purposes. I think that's about all that I have for today. Again, if you have any questions regarding your service area map, thank you to Jason and the IT team for helping improve that. Thank you for the suggestion about having, and he did note that about having, an option to do multiple, requests. I thank you so much. We're here to support you, and we're excited to see what requests will be coming up. If you have a new idea, please bring it, of what you're thinking of applying for. It's interesting. And I know the cost of the vehicles are extremely high. I did sit in a webinar regarding this program, and they are saying prices are not going to decrease. They're just going to keep increasing. So, but we want to help you. We know there's a need for these vehicles. I did see a question. I have a couple of screens that I'm working with. When will the new version of the Excel document be up? I'm going to defer that to Lauren.
I reached out to the web team and I'm waiting for a response. So I'm hoping it will be up later today, but I'm sure it will be up by tomorrow.
And again, if you've already started working on your application and the only change was the certification insurances, reach out to us. We can send you that document. Okay. See no other questions. I will give you 7 minutes back. Thank you. Do not hesitate to reach out to us. We appreciate you and all the work. We understand you are the ones on the front lines. We know this is a federal grant awards program that may be a little bit more than what some of the smaller agencies are used to applying for. We're here to support you. Thank you for all of the services that you provide to the community. We greatly appreciate the service that you provide to the older adults and persons with disability community and population. Thank you.